to the basement.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Basement Boys Podcast. I am Chris Gray. Somewhere is Eric Mincer.
This is from the other basement. I am in a basement.
Are you actually in a basement?
Yeah, I'm in my basement. This is my man cave.
All right, word. So yeah, we're not lying. We're in basements.
Separate but together.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, just things came up. Kind of had to do it. Not together this time around, but shit happens, and we're gonna power through. Let's start off with the most fucked up news of the goddamn week. I can't believe not only is this being talked about, but now apparently a thing.
And I love that this is like one of those monumental, like would be everybody's biggest like top story on ESPN, top story and everything, and they just did it Sunday during the football games, just like slip this out there. Chris, it's really happening.
Ugh. I think that's part of it because no, they wouldn't do it without clout. We're talking about the fucking Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather thing. I hate. Like, why?
For those of you who aren't up to speed, Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather have reached some sort of agreement. There's not really details yet, but February 20th, it's going to be the Paul brothers and the Money Team doing some boxing event. Did they say where? I assume Vegas, the only place. Like,
I did not. Yeah, I would assume probably there, but I've never I haven't I haven't seen anything like serious about where it's going to be per se. But none of this makes sense to me. Like, we were joking about it the other day in the group chat with Devin. But he has like fucking Logan Paul must have like at least 40 pounds on Floyd.
But do you think that matters? I feel like Floyd would still kill him.
No, yeah, I 100% think Floyd would piece him up. I think, like I said, I think the Paul brothers can box, but I think they can box way better than they can box. So yeah, it's just weird, and I don't understand why it's happening. Like at least like Conor, like I kind of understood because Conor's even bigger than Floyd by a decent amount, like probably like at least 10, 20 pounds.
It is all about the money.
But they're closer in size.
It's all about the money. I mean, I'm looking at it now for Mayweather McGregor. Mayweather, we know, $275 million for one night. McGregor, roughly $85 million. Logan Paul is about to be in a whole new tax bracket.
No,
no. Yeah,
I mean,
you know what I mean.
That's still a different tax bracket for him, but either way, it's such a size difference, and I guess that's why he's not coming out to try to like put his professional like title on the line per se.
Yeah,
not that he has a title, but his 50-0.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wouldn't want to risk 50-0. I don't know, the whole
just because he's so big.
Yeah, he wouldn't want to risk it all for like an official WBO match, but like you got a YouTuber with 20 million followers, you got Floyd Mayweather, everybody knows it's gonna sell. We're gonna watch it.
I mean, like as much as I hate it, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
If you're watching this, let us know in the comments if you're gonna watch because like we know you are. If you catch me looking this way or Chris looking to his, I believe, left, it's because we're both watching the football game from various angles because this is recording while Washington football team is playing the Steelers.
So you're gonna catch our live reaction to this game. And yeah, it's your pick is having a chance right now. I will give it to you.
Well, the under is looking golden. It's 7-0 with 5 minutes left in the first half. The offenses are a little slow today.
Alex Smith looks locked in, though.
Two good defenses, but we got a lot of football to talk about. Some epic comebacks or meltdowns, depending on how you look at it.
Jesus Christ. A coach got fired over one single play.
That was we're Jet fans, so that's some heartbreak. But before we do that, should we play some of this week's calls?
We can. So, I guess I'll just do these in the order they came in. just because it's more fun that way. So let's start out now.
Hey, Jonah. Hey, it's Jonah from Freehold. I'm just asking about you. Said you had Knicks preseason talk. What do you think the Knicks preseason starting lineup is? Because opening day, I'd expect Alfred Payton and, God forbid, but probably Randall in the starting lineup. But in the preseason, I'd imagine it would be some sort of combination of DSJ, Frank, RJ, Obi, and Mitch. Obviously, all the young guys, all the top 10 picks. Oh, and Knox in that too. But we'll see. I mean, I'm asking you what you think of this. This is your podcast. Again, Jonah from Freehold. My prediction will be DSJ, Frank, RJ, Knox, Obi, with Mitch. Actually, no, take out DSJ, put in Knox. I think that's all a good year.
All right. You are the resident basketball expert over here. As you can see, his book that's on the NBA, literally next to it.
Oh,
So
Steelers
what do you-
scored.
So what are you thinking about Knicks preseason lineup?
So for the preseason, I have no idea because it's going to be just a free for all. I think that'll obviously play a lot of the younger guys like RJ and Frank and Obi are going to be on the floor most of the time. So I think you're right where Alfred Payton should be the starter, and I just think in the preseason you want to let your veterans ride the bench more. Opening day, I think Payton belongs at the point guard, RJ shooting guard, top and small forward, Randall power forward, and Mitch the starter center. I think that's kind of going to be where you start the season and see how it goes from there. Randall seems like Jonah. It sounded like you weren't too big of a fan of Randall, but the guy plays. The guy plays well.
And I mean, for what you got, like you didn't get Westbrook. There was no big free agent signing over the offseason, so what are you going to do? Julius Randle is still probably, based on last season, your best player, so.
Yeah, Randall averaged 19 points, 9 rebounds. He can play. I don't think he's anything, to write home and say, yes, we got our guy in Randall, but look at who they added in the offseason. Austin Rivers is coming in, and he's a veteran point guard, but again, like he's not a guy who's your, franchise player. Nerlens Noel, a guy who's a nice defensive player to come off the bench, but he's not your franchise player. So in the preseason, I think Obi Toppin and RJ, the centerpieces for the future, are going to probably be taking most of the reps.
But would you still really consider Ntilikina a young guy? I mean, he's been there for a while now.
Yeah, but he's only 22.
Like, yes, I understand he's young in years, but like this is when you should start to expect these guys to like become someone.
I disagree with you there, and I think that's where you see like Brandon Ingram is surprising people with how great he's played a year ago. Or like Lonzo Ball is actually became a better player, but it's because like you think the second they get drafted, like not you, but like everybody kind of assumes you get drafted and you step in and you're like LeBron. Like LeBron just walked in out of high school, and by the time he was 20, he was dominant. Some of these guys take a couple of years to develop. Also, like I don't think Frank deserves to be the starting point guard. Sorry, we've seen like you're right that we've seen what we've seen from him, but he also has played for really bad teams and really bad coaches where it's not like they're developing him. He's not in a fluid system. He's passing the ball to Obi Toppin, who's going to be a rookie, RJ, who was a rookie, Julius Randle, who can score in the paint, and Mitch Robinson's a defensive-minded player.
Yeah, but like you just said, you starting to see some of these other guys like Lonzo Ball. Like you're starting to consider him somewhat of a veteran. He has seasons in the league. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think this is probably the point where you have to stop looking at Ntilikina as this new young guy who doesn't, you know what I mean? He should start being able to figure it out.
I guess. I see what you're saying. I just feel like a lot of times guys get written off at the age of like 22, 23 because they haven't turned that corner yet, where like Lonzo came out after 1 year of of UCLA. A lot of these guys coming from one and done situations become star players. Anthony Davis, like the list goes on and on. I could go on for days about that. But we're used to seeing guys who've played 3 or 4 years in college come in and they're 23, 24. And that's what we were thinking, like, oh, they're 23, 24. They should be ready to go.
No, and I agree with you there, but at least at this point, now that they have the time in the league, like Lonzo, like just as we've been using him as the point, he's showing you something. You know what I mean? Like he might not be at his peak yet. He might still need to work on things, and he could become a fantastic player. But you see that kind of spark from him where you haven't seen that from Ntilikina at all.
That's fair.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I guess I'm making more of a generalization of players being like judged when they're like 21, 22. But I think you're right in that Ntilikina, we've seen like he's not a scorer. He plays above average defense. But I mean, yeah, we've seen what we got from him. So I'd like to see.
You could see him as a solid role player, but not anything deeper than that, I'd say.
I'd like to see Dennis Smith play more. I'd like to see Alfred Payton be a starting point guard and rotate in, I guess, Alec Burks, who they signed quietly, and Austin Rivers, who's the most experienced player on the team, I think. The caller also made a point about Knox. Knox is another guy who, like, he's been in the league 2 years. He's 21. He's not really, he's not really showing any signs of improvement. You know,
they tried to hype him up a lot when he got drafted, and that real quickly fizzled out.
He's a good athlete. He's just not a great shooter, a below average defender, not a great, like, there's not much there in terms of what you want from a basketball player. And that's just trying to be nice to Kevin Knox.
Like, again, I think this is probably the year that if he's going to show you something, like, it's got to be now. Same thing with, like, I feel like that was Ntilikina last year. Or at this point, you become a little more expendable. And especially with a rebuilding team, new coach. I mean, Knicks are always rebuilding, but that is what it is. Like, people are going to get dumped.
Yeah. And to the caller's point of the preseason, I think this is like, again, looking at their guards, they have so many of these guys who've been around for like 2 or 3 years, haven't made a jump of like Alec Burks, Frank, Alfred Payton, Dennis Smith, which, like you're saying, you've seen enough of them to know that they're not going to make that next step. They also now have Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who is the like poster child of, it was the 2nd overall pick, spent like 5 years in Charlotte, did absolutely nothing, or like more than that. I think he's been in the league like 7 years, 8 years, and he's done nothing. So you know what you're getting from him. But I think in the preseason, you just got to mix and match, play different lineups, see what you get. That's what the point of preseason is.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Like, I definitely want to see all these guys in preseason. I'm just saying, moving forward after preseason, like, for Ntilikina, if he doesn't show any sign of life in preseason, like, I'm not even worried about him when it comes to the regular season. Like, ride the bench, my guy.
Do you think the Knicks could trade him, flip him, get anything from him?
I mean, I guess if someone like needs that like kind of style defensive player, like I said, I think he can be a role player. Anything else, I don't really see much from.
Yeah, I could see him being. Some team will take a shot on him as like a backup point guard if someone gets hurt, but
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the call, Jonah from Freehole.
All right, this next call is from the man, the myth, the legend, my father himself. And what
Mr. Gray.
You will hear in his voice is the pain of being a Jets fan for 50 years. Because the question is not a question that, like, most people would be like, that's an interesting question. But when you get the idea of that pain of just being a Jet fan for 50 years, it kind of makes it make sense more. So let's hear from Papa Gray.
My name is Mr. Gray. I am calling in regards to the Jets. Do I have any concern that Adam Gase will be fired at the end of this year because we need to start over and we need to get him out and hopefully lose the rest of our game and get the #1 pick? Thank you.
As you can also hear, that was also my soon-to-be stepmother. But yeah. Every logical thing would tell you, yes, Adam Gase is gonna leave, is gonna be fired this year. Why? You're crazy for even asking that question. But then you think about it from a man who's been with this franchise pretty much since the beginning, pretty much since they became the New York Jets after the Titans. And the entire time that the Johnsons have owned this team. And he understands that even though everyone in the world would say, Gase is out of here next season, what are you talking about? We are dealing with Woody and Christopher Johnson. So nothing is safe. There are no safe bets when it comes to the Johnsons. So yes, is there that 0.5% of my brain that's just like, Gase is going to come back next year? It's a very small percent. It is a 0.5%.
Would you
But
quit
yeah.
on the team if they extended him tomorrow?
It'd be hard not to at that point. I'm not going to lie to anybody.
I'd need a really big bottle of something strong.
Oh my God.
So, I want to reverse and ask the question to your dad, Mr. Gray, if in his years as a Jets fan, if he's ever seen a meltdown like the one on Sunday. We're talking about this, for those of you, I'm sure everybody who's watching this has seen the Jets meltdown in the Meadowlands. Oh my God.
I guarantee he's going to laugh in my face and go, yeah. He was there for the Gastineau hit.
Oof. I've never seen a team, and it's a stat that I saw somehow on Next Gen, whatever sports, some advanced stats that never, or at least since they've been recording it, in the last 15 seasons, there have been 252 passing plays with less than 15 seconds where the team that has the ball is down by 4-8, and there's more than 40 yards to the end zone. Basically, your Hail Mary situation. You're losing 15 seconds, 40-plus yards. This was the first time they've ever seen the defense send more than 6 pass rushers, and the Jets sent 7.
They played a cover 0. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's like playing Madden, and you know they're going to prevent defense, but they called engage 8, and they said, fuck it.
Yo, just, my guy, just get your little controller out. Just get set up. Hit the suggestions button, Madden.
Ask Madden. He'll tell you prevent defense. Anybody. Unbelievable. And the Jets this morning fired Greg Williams.
Yeah, because that was the dumbest fucking decision.
That was either – all right, so I think that's either blatant tanking, and it's like your dad said, they want to lose every game. Like somebody must have called down to the sideline because while this play happened, the Jaguars had just tied – or the Jaguars had just blown the lead against Minnesota. Like they were like, okay, the Jaguars could maybe lose that game and we'll be tied at 1-12 or whatever, 1-11, and the Jets just lost on purpose. Or I think Greg Williams just hates Adam Gase so much that he was like, hell no, we're not winning this game.
I think number 2 is a definite possibility. 100% possibility. But I also think that it was just an ego thing. He just thought he could do it. He thought, oh, this'll get him.
I don't know what his thought process was.
If you heard Rex Ryan go off on the man, they do not like each other. Greg Williams was on Rex's father's staff, Buddy Ryan. I believe so. And he absolutely hates the man. And he went off, calling him, basically in TV terms, so he couldn't actually say it. He was just basically like, you stupid motherfucker. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it's the absolute truth. How do you call that play? All you have to do, there was 5 seconds left on the clock. All you have to do is prevent a touchdown. Fuck a first down. What are you doing?
Well, wasn't the play directly before it, or maybe 2 plays before it? He did the same thing. Threw a deep ball. He got like Hunter Renfro, but there was a push off. So you not only did you fuck up and let them get the Hail Mary, but then you got bailed out with the penalty and still
Then you
fuck
did
up
it again.
That was unbelievable. I mean, Henry Ruggs is insanely fast, so good for him. Derek Carr, if you checked out my article, then you would have played Derek Carr in fantasy, where he put up over 30 points and balled out. Darren Waller also.
Bald.
Darren Waller had 200 yards for the 4th time in NFL history. A tight end had 200 yards in a game, so the Jets are setting records with their embarrassingly bad secondary, but that was just an impressive way to melt down in the last 10 seconds of a game and lose it. Unbelievable.
That was like, I felt like that was the most Jet thing to ever happen. I was just waiting for it the whole time. It was actually kind of sad. Like that literally just encompasses all of being a Jet fan.
But at the end of the day, we needed it because that's going to help us get the first overall pick, like your dad said.
I hate doing this, man. I hate being like, oh, gotta go for the pick. It's just like, no, I don't want to be one of 5 teams that ever not win a game.
Okay, but the last team to do that was the Cleveland Browns. They went 0-16. They get the first overall pick, took Myles Garrett. They kept
True.
Hugh Jackson after going 0-16. Hugh Jackson,
Another dumb decision.
he tanked them into another first overall pick, and they got
True.
Baker. And we're going to get to the Browns because that was incredible. We're going to get to the Browns game and all of that. But Baker and Myles Garrett, 2 first overall picks, would be better than had the Browns gone 1-15.
I can agree with that.
So if you're the Jets, look, if we're going to be bad, we might as well be the best bad team there is and lose every single game.
I still don't want it. I
It
still
sucks.
really don't want it. I just needed
Trust the
Jags to win a
process.
game. I just needed Jags to win a game and then smack the Patriots around because that'll
We'll
just...
get to that game too, but the Jags almost won a game.
Yeah, that was upsetting. I was really hoping they were going to win the second one just to lock it in for us.
That would've been
Because there's
cool.
no way we're winning 2. I just want to get 1.
All right, well, thank your dad. And before we get to the last, before we get to football, let's do the last question. Last fan mail.
This one's a 2-parter. It's my guy right here. My man Phil. Nicest guy you'll ever fucking meet. And he's got some basketball for us to talk. It's actually a 3-part question, so I think we'll go through it piece by piece, all right? Start it up.
Hey, what's up, Chris? It's your boy Phil. That's my first question to ask you. Who do you think got better handles? AI or Kyrie Irving?
Did you get that?
AI or Kyrie?
Yeah, who's got better handles?
AI. Crossed over Jordan. Wins.
I agree. Not only did he cross over Jordan, and like you've heard me say before, I usually go with the new guy because like the game has changed. But if you're just going based on effectiveness, AI.
Based on handles, AI. Better player. I mean, I don't think Kyrie
True.
is, but you could argue that Kyrie has a ring. But like AI, untouchable. He led his team to the championship based on his quickness.
And every single AI moment you know, except for we talking about practice, is him just fucking embarrassing someone, crossing up Jordan, the step over moment. Like, That's
Stepped
what-
over Tyronn Lue, current
Yeah.
coach of the Clippers.
ooh, bad day.
What's Phil's next question for us?
All right. Okay, so I'm glad we both agree on AI.
Who do you think the better shooter? Steph Curry or Klay Thompson?
See, I think this might be the one where we disagree. So I'm gonna get your reaction first because you are the basketball man.
I think we're gonna both surprise and say Klay Thompson.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I like Steph as an overall player. Again, I think he's a better scorer, but like Klay's shot is so pure. If there's no one on Klay, there's no question it's going in from the corner.
And like you said, I'm not saying Clay's necessarily a better player because speaking of handles, I think Steph Curry is one of the most underrated handles guy because everyone just thinks shooter. You know what I mean? But he's nice with it.
Steph had that one season where I felt like every time he played the Clippers, he just embarrassed Chris Paul, which was phenomenal.
But yeah, I definitely think Clay. I think he just got a cleaner shot, a smoother shot, and he's just money.
If you're talking a game of horse, I think Steph could probably win that because he'll just, fling it up from like halfway down the tunnel or from the opposite end of the court. If we're talking just like racks in the gym, just shoot out, Clay.
Yeah. And I think Clay's height lets him do it, like, better when contested. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think overall, no matter what shot you put Clay in, he has a stronger opportunity to finish it.
Yeah. So we both agreed 2 for 2. AI and Clay. What's number 3?
Oh, we're doing good right now. All right. Number 3.
Hey, Chris, it's your boy Phil, man. Calling in from New York. I'm telling you like this, man. Who do you think the better dunker? Vince Carter or LeBron?
All right.
I get the feeling because we're both 90 kids, we're going to agree with this one too.
All right. Start us up. You're the basketball expert, so you're starting up.
I have to be right back. We're changing uniforms.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh. Okay.
My answer is Vince Carter. It always has been. It always will be.
But my thing is, are we talking dunk contest or are we talking about in the game?
I think if you include the dunk in the Olympic game where he literally went over a 7-footer, and it wasn't just he went like over, like kind of went, he went up, nuts to the chin, nuts to the forehead. Vince Carter's dunks are revolutionary, man.
I agree in that fact. And it, like, if we're talking NBA, if we're talking like dunk contest, stuff like that, I 100% go Vince Carter all day, every day. But I think LeBron is just a fucking Mack truck coming in there, and you're not stopping him. I mean, not that it hasn't happened. It's basketball. I get it. But effectiveness in a game, I would go LeBron.
All right, so we got a little disagreement because I think Vince's game was based on dunking, and I think LeBron wouldn't dunk the way he does if not for Vince. So
I can agree with you on that. But like we're saying, I usually go with the newer guy in that sense because they've used that to build on that other person's game. You know what I mean? Where the things that this person did might not work as well in today's game because people have figured it out. So I tend to go with that type of person. I do give Vince Carter a little more of a leg up just because of his like innovation of it. Like whether it's in just like in the game or in dunk contest, whatever, like he's always pulling off crazy dunks. But I just feel like it's a little bit of a nostalgia filter on Vince Carter that we have.
that's fair, but does that apply to AI?
I get what you're saying, but it's different. He didn't do like
I see what you're
AI
saying.
is fucking. There's levels to this shit. Like
For sure, and I think Vince Carter, probably, we could all agree, the best dunk contest dunker.
ever.
And you're saying LeBron better in game. I don't know. I feel like Vince Carter in a game, like LeBron gets the posters and like the breakaways and stuff because they're like, okay, if we steal the ball, just throw it ahead to LeBron and nobody comes near him. But like Vince Carter worked for his dunks.
I agree. But I also feel like LeBron will do that as well. And I also feel like I might have a nostalgia filter because today is, I believe, the anniversary of the greatest dunk photo of all time with him and Dwayne Wade on the Heat.
Oh, that alley-oop. Did you ever see? This is incredible. Somebody got a tattoo of that on like their leg, and it's such fine detail. It's unbelievable.
Dude, that is the craziest photo ever. It's literally like fucking it looks like they're playing like NBA Street.
It's my guy.
Remember that game?
D-Wade, NBA Street. I remember NFL Street. Ricky Williams hurdling people,
Dude.
punching them.
Both those games, fire. They need to bring those back 100%.
Unbelievable game. So great question.
Thanks, Phil. You the fucking man.
All right, so we're gonna actually come up with a question for you guys to call in and give us your answers. Question of the week. Call in, tell us how you would celebrate a touchdown. I'm saying like would you choreograph a dance? Would you go up to the camera? Would you use a prop? Like, I want intricate details. You could leave us like your touchdown celebration. If you're getting a first down, like you're just doing that. Like, if you get a sack, what are your football celebrations?
How do you feel? Are you trying to be cool with it? Are you just getting fucking hype and like breaking shit? That'd probably be me.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. So I think the situation matters because if it's like a game-winning touchdown, you're probably just gonna like spike it and run and like celebrate with your team. So I'm talking like first quarter, 5 minutes in, you just scored a touchdown against the Bengals. The floor is yours.
I'm not gonna lie, if it's a game winner, I'm probably just leaving. I'm just probably catching the ball, taking the ball with me, and just running out. It's over. I'm
Henry
done.
Ruggs should have just ran straight from the Jets
I
end
handle
zone to
my
the bus.
business. Yeah, I handle my business. I'm out of here. Straight to the locker room.
Yeah, so I thought about mine. All my sellies are going to be sports sellies, like other sports. If I get a touchdown, I'm going to need at least, I think, 2, maybe 3 teammates with me, right? Because if I score, if I'm like the receiver, I'm going to take the football, and I'm going to be the pitcher. And I need a catcher, I need a batter, and I need an umpire. Because I'm going to throw it. My teammate's going to catch it. It's going to be strike 3. The umpire, another teammate behind him, rings him up. And then my other teammate, who's the batter, is going to turn and argue with the umpire. The guy who's the catcher runs up, and we celebrate like we just won the World Series.
That's a good one. I like it.
I put in some thought.
I'm very much an emotion guy, so I'm just gonna be super hype and yelling and like fucking probably just run into a wall just because I'm fucking overwhelmed with emotion, and that'll probably be every time.
Yeah, there you go. If I got like a big first down, I'd probably do a big point, just staring and pointing at staring at the other team point. And I think for a sack, I'd probably do like either LeBron like that or just like.
That's what I love too. I love doing the LeBron. Anything I do, if I'm celebrating, I'm just that one and the Harden mix-up. That'd probably be like my first down again. If
What
I'm
about
not just
the feed Harden, Ezekiel Elliott?
yeah. But yeah. So yeah, call us in. Tell us what yours would be. Fucking post that shit as a comment on Instagram.
Devin said he would
YouTube.
do the worm, but my question to Devin is, can you actually do the worm? Because in like a long time of 10 years of friendship, I don't think I've seen it.
I could pull it off. I think I can make it happen.
You can hit the worm.
I think I could. I haven't tried in a long time. Probably since I was like 10. Either way, like all I can really think of is me just fucking going nuts and like probably like throwing the ball at my coach just cuz like
All right.
I'm a wild guy. But when I like do something that I'm hype about, I just go nuts. Like it's over. There's a solid 5-second period where just get away from me cuz I'm going crazy.
Well,
all right.
that's going to be Chris's celebration. So a touchdown and a lot of emotions.
I'm an emotional guy, okay? All right. So other than that, I think we should just break down this week in football.
Let's do it. We already got the misery out of our way. We talked about the Jets' epic meltdown to the.
Oh my god. And like I said last week, we always play well against the Raiders. Just like last year when we fucking spanked them. This year, they got it back, but it should not have been that close.
I want to put my hand up, and I'll admit that, like, last week I said, I think they can cover. I don't think they'll win the game. I think they'll cover. I bought in. In that fourth quarter, I was like, they're so going to win this game. They are going to win this game. There's reasons to be a Jet fan again. And then I was like, yep, we're tanking. We covered the spread.
At the same time, if they won that game, they couldn't even lose, right? So, like, what are we doing here? Even though I did want to win that game, I'm not going to lie. The stink of an 0-16 season is going to hang on me. Because that was the one thing I had as a Jets fan. Anytime someone was just like, oh, your team sucks, it's just like, yeah, but not as bad as, like, the Lions or the Browns or, like, these 0-16 teams.
I think that's the perfect segue to an 0-16 success story. And I want to play, like, that's where you play, like, little music, like the after school special thing of like after school they went 0-16 and now the Cleveland Browns are 9-3. Cleveland Browns 41-35 over the Titans. if you watch that game, it wasn't ever close.
Yeah, not at all, really.
It was a bloodbath. I mean, Baker had 4 touchdowns, 334 yards. He had, I think, 3 touchdowns in the first half. Chubb, a rushing touchdown. I mean, it was just an onslaught. They were getting after Tannehill. Henry had, I think, 50 yards in the first half. He fumbled it, which is something you very rarely see from Henry. I mean, the Browns came out ready to play.
Yeah, they definitely did. And that is 100% not how we saw this game was going.
Nah, again, I tweeted about it. I said I will gladly admit to all of the dog pound entire city of Cleveland. I am sorry for underestimating you. Titans, trash pick. Cleveland Browns came out firing. And Jarvis Landry's looking like a star. Baker had himself a great game. I don't think Baker's thrown an interception in like 4 weeks.
Something like that.
He's turned it around. I mean, Kevin Stefanski, he might have just won Coach of the Year.
I don't think you can give it to him.
Nah?
No, and again, we're jumping around time slots, but not after what happened in the Giants game.
Well, that's true. We'll get to that in a minute. So I think that's a great conversation there. But sticking on the Browns for a second, the Browns-Titans would have been the matchup if the season ended today. That would be the first round playoff game. The Titans, division winners, Browns, the top of the wild card. So that would be a rematch. And I think we've just learned that the Browns are the better team.
Yeah, and not that Tennessee couldn't steal that one if it did get there. Like if the postseason goes on as slated right now, because I just think you can't. Even though they contained Derrick Henry for the most part in this game, like you're not gonna do that every time, my guy.
Well, there is a play pretty early on. I want to say the first quarter when I think it was 10-0 Cleveland. Pretty sure it was 4th and 1, and the Titans went for it. But instead of just going with the handoff to Henry, they went under the gun and they did a little play action, and then they handed it off to Henry. And Myles Garrett was there right away. Like, didn't even come close to the line of scrimmage. And this was something I watched the red zone, so I saw a bunch of different games having similar type plays over and over, where it's 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, and they hand it off from the shotgun. Makes no sense because if you're handing it off, you want the guy running from behind the center, behind the quarterback, give him that head start. If you're from the shotgun and you're handing it to the guy next to you, well, then the defense gets a 3-yard running start and the running back is there. Like, it made no sense, and it failed with Henry on that 4th down, and it failed late in the game on a 2-point conversion.
Those types of plays only work when you get your hole, when the offensive line does its job. And just against someone like Myles Garrett, that's hard to do.
Very good point. Myles Garrett is an absolute star. Great defensive pickup, great defensive player. I mean, you don't usually see number 1 overall picks going to defensive linemen, but absolutely worth it.
Honestly, in the next few coming years, I think that's probably where it's trending because, I mean, if you really think about it, what's more important on any team than the quarterback and the guy who's going to hit the quarterback?
That's it. I mean, yeah, you see teams doing it with the left tackle being first overall pick because he's the blind side, the guy who protects the quarterback.
It's literally all about the quarterback. So I think in the future, especially if like there's a decent amount of D linemen like right now, but if you have that guy who's like guaranteed to be like a next TJ Watt, like everyone is talking about Nick Bosa coming out as number 1. I mean, obviously it just where everyone was picked, that's not where the cards fell, but
right. And I think the last defensive player to go number 1 before Myles Garrett was Jadeveon Clowney, who was not in this game because he's having season-ending surgery, and that's a huge blow to the Titans defense because they had no answer for the Browns offense.
yeah, that is.
I mean, when Nick Chubb plays, he missed a lot of the season with an injury, but when he's back, you have Chubb and Hunt, like we've said on this show before, best 1-2 punch. Jarvis Landry.
And it just takes that 1-2 punch takes so much pressure off Baker and lets him do what he does.
Speaking of pressure off Baker, think we got to start thinking, do they move on from Odell Beckham? Because, like you said, they always try to force the ball to Beckham. They try to run their offense through Beckham. And, like, what we're seeing clearly is that they can function with the two running backs being the lead and then throwing it to Jarvis Landry, throwing it to the tight end, Hooper.
I think if Beckham can accept that role, I think it just makes that team all that more like dynamic and dangerous. But it's just whether or not Beckham will be willing to provide that role. But that's really the only way they can do it at this point, because trying to run it through Odell was not working.
Clearly was not working. And I think, like a week ago, again, I said I wasn't buying in, thought the Titans were going to beat them. I said the Titans beat them by a lot. I'll admit I was incredibly wrong. I'm kind of starting to buy in because the Browns are looking really good.
Yeah, they really are looking good. And again, out of nowhere, and then now all of a sudden this week they beat Tennessee, and everyone I feel like is in agreement with just like, okay, the Browns are fucking for real. It only took till week 13, but we figured it out.
The Browns' schedule for the last 4 games is going to be wild because they have Monday night next week against the Ravens. We get the Ravens this week on Tuesday because COVID, so we don't know what to get. Well, they'll be getting from the Ravens. We don't know. Lamar might play tomorrow. We don't know if Andrews will be back. Like, that could very easily be a 10th win for the Browns. Then they play the Giants. They play the Jets, another win. And they end the year with the Steelers, which could be a battle between the top two two great teams. Or the Steelers could have locked up the number 1 seed by then and rest their players. So keep an eye out, but there is a possibility that the Browns have double-digit wins this year.
Yeah. And this is their first winning season since 2006? 2007?
Yeah.
That's a major turnaround, my guy. It really is.
And the Cleveland fans have been with them all the way, so congrats.
Yeah, I feel so great for Cleveland fans. Like I always kind of like felt their pain just being a Jet fan, and I feel like we've had better years than the Browns have. At least we've won one.
All right, so this is going back to the theme of 0-16. Detroit Lions, the other 0-16 team from 10, 12 years ago. They came back on the Chicago Bears. The Bears were leading by 10 points, 30-20, with 5 minutes left. Trubisky fumbles. The Bears just completely collapsed. Lions win that game 34-30. So the Lions fired Matt Patricia and won a football game.
I mean, that's kind of what we've been saying.
Maybe it's not rocket science.
Yeah, when you have sometimes when you have a good quarterback and some decent players around him, you win games as long as you're not being coached like shit.
And they did it without Galladay. This year they've literally been like 1-4, I think, without Galladay. So, I mean, Adrian Peterson had 2 touchdowns, turning back the clock. Marvin Jones Jr., 16 catches, a touchdown. I mean, they just came out, and I think the Bears defense, I feel really bad for them because the Bears defense played well most of the game. 20 points through almost 4 quarters, through 3 3/4. And then Trubisky fumbled it, and the defense just has to get tired. I mean, Khalil Mack, again, an absolute beast. We're talking about top pick defensive players. He can change a game, but he gets tired. The defense is on the field 90% of most of the game. They're going to all just get worn out.
Yeah, when they can't keep the ball, what are you going to do? Like, these people are human, and it's literally the thing every announcer, whoever you want to talk to will say is keep your defense off the field. That's how you win games. And they just could not do that.
The defense for the Lions was the opposite, where they got the strip sack of Trubisky to help them with about 2 minutes left, and that helped them get the lead. Stafford had 400 yards. I mean, the Lions are honestly looking better than the Bears as a whole right now. I think Nagy's going to be fired, and I think if I was a head coach talking about this carousel again, I'd rather go to the Lions than the Bears.
I don't know about that, actually. I think the Bears' defense is already pretty set. You need to figure out the quarterback situation, but there's some pieces there.
I think the Lions have a couple pieces too. I mean, they have Swift, DeAndre Swift. They have Kerryon Johnson, so they have two actual running backs. Where the Bears, like Montgomery, did nothing. That was the other one. When I was talking about Henry getting stopped on 4th and 1 at the very end of the game, the Bears had a chance 4th and 1 to move into field goal range, and they did the same thing from the shotgun. They handed it off to Montgomery. Montgomery is not a fast guy. Montgomery is a bruiser back. He wasn't able to get around the corner, and he got stopped, and that's ultimately what cost the Bears the game. Well,
Right,
no,
but
it's not. I take that back. The team just collapsed, but
yeah,
that was the last play.
but like you said, he's not a bruiser back, and he was used on a play where he was supposed to get around on the outside and just couldn't do it. That's coaching calls to me.
Agreed.
Like, I think you got to understand who your players are and use them the way they're used. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this is just such an embarrassing loss for the Bears because Galladay was out. The cornerback that was the 3rd overall pick of the draft. I can't pronounce his last name. Jeff Okonkwo.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I remember the name, and I tried to do it on the draft special that me and Devin did, and it did not work out. So I'm not even going to attempt.
Jeff Okudah. I'm sorry. That's a completely different player, Okonkwo. But Jeff Okudah, yeah, he was the 3rd overall pick. Again, a top draft pick used on a defensive player. You have him on the defense. You have Galladay. You have 2 running backs. If I was looking for a head coaching job, which I always am, if anybody wants a young, attractive head coach, this is your guy. If I was looking, I would rather go to the Lions than the Bears because the Bears, you have to figure out what to do with Trubisky. Do you keep him? Do you cut him loose? You have Foles. He's not much better. So some other games that happened, there's a lot of them. It's probably bad lead-in. As you saw before, I was wearing Vince Sanity jersey. I was wearing my Saints jersey because they've won 9 in a row. Saints beat the Falcons. Saints, they're looking really good even without Drew Brees.
I was looking, and I want to say in the last 2 seasons or whatever, it was something like with Drew Brees, I forget the exact numbers, but it was something crazy like 15-2, and then without Drew Brees, they're 5-0 in the regular season.
Last year they were 5-0 with Jameis. This year they're 3-0 with Taysom.
8-0, whatever it was.
Last year was Teddy.
Yeah, last year was Teddy.
So this year with Taysom Hill, they're 3-0. That's 8-0 the last 2 years without Drew Brees. Taysom Hill outperformed Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan had 273 yards. He had more yards. He had 1 touchdown. Ryan was 19 for 39. That's less than 50%. Taysom Hill, 232, 2 touchdowns, and he ran for 83 yards. This was his big game of this is what we wanted Taysom Hill to be.
He proved that he could be the next man up once Brees decides to retire. He's shown some life in this league.
And he went to the great Michael Thomas, Captain Slant, 9 catches to 100 yards.
And they're doing this against a surging Falcons team. A Falcons team that's been playing well in the last few weeks.
Yeah, they had won 4 out of the last 6 coming into it. They were looking legit. Julio played. I have Julio in fantasy. I didn't think he was going to play. He played 94 yards. Julio played. Matt Ryan just lost a fumble at some point, and that kind of made the difference. Let's go on to the big-time fight of the weekend because there wasn't much going on for the UFC. I mean, there was a card. We didn't get into it. But the Dolphins and Bengals were getting frisky. Dolphins won the game.
But it was at a cost. Couple ejections. Coaches almost getting into fights.
There's going to be some envelopes in the mail.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely going to be, at the very least, some fines. Definitely at least 2 suspensions.
I saw the overhead view of the fight when both teams kind of came out, and it looked like your regular the Dolphins running to the Bengals sideline and some push and shoving. Oh no! Once you got that overhead view, you saw they were really throwing punches. You got coaches going after it. I mean, earlier they ejected Tyler Boyd and Xavier Rhodes, I believe. Xavier Howard Rhodes. Yeah. So they a really good player for the Bengals and a good player for the Dolphins got ejected over a lot less than the fight that took place several plays later.
It's true. Yeah, just and it's not even like it's a divisional game.
Just chippy.
I know. I guess the Bengals were trying to do what they could to win the game.
If you saw, there was a play where Jakeem Grant was getting ready to return a punt and just got laid out. It was an easy penalty. It was a dirty hit, and that's what sparked it. But I think you also got to think this is like the Dolphins getting fired up. They're 8-4.
Out of nowhere.
If the Bills lose tonight to the 49ers, which I think they will, you meant not. Those of you watching probably don't. I think the Niners could win that game. The Dolphins and Bills will both be 8-4, tied for first place. And the Dolphins just got, in a little bit of a fight. You got this rookie quarterback leading them. That could be a big wake-up call. And Brian Flores has his team looking real good.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, everyone was convinced, oh, Bills got it locked in. No one else in this division is going to touch them. They'd be if it wasn't for the Bills, they'd be the AFC least, like we got the NFC least. But that's just not the case. It's starting to come down to the wire. It's becoming very, very competitive.
The Dolphins could make some noise. I could see that defense with the way they're playing. They could give some teams hard times in the playoff game. I mean, they're not going to have home field advantage unless they win and they really could win the division.
Do you think they stick with Tua if they go to the playoffs?
I think they will because I think Brian Flores has his mind made up. But, I mean, their defense is what's winning games. So either Tua or Fitzpatrick could lead the charge.
I really want Fitzpatrick to at least play in one game, but that's just for selfish reasons because we
That's the
fucked him up.
nostalgia.
Because we fucked him up. We were getting him ready to go to his first ever postseason because he's never made the postseason.
Yeah, wow.
We on
that's
the Jets.
impressive.
We on the Jets. We're getting ready to deliver him his first postseason, and then fucking Rex Ryan and the Bills come in and just ruin that for him.
Sorry for the facial reaction. Just look to your left and watch this drop right here. This is unbelievable.
Oh,
But I agree, yeah. That's kind of incredible. Fitzpatrick's been on so many teams, played around for so long, and hasn't played a playoff game. The Jets, just obviously being Jets, could not get him up into the postseason. The Dolphins.
Oh no! As you can tell, Eric's got it a little ahead of me. I'm on a little delay from him. After seeing something like that, your pick is becoming a lot more reasonable to me, Eric. I'm not gonna lie to you.
At the time of this conversation, it's 14-10 Steelers. I'm telling you, Washington's without a doubt going to come
7:40 left in the third. It's
under whatever. I think I was like 43. That's a lock. Let's see.
But remember, your pick was the money line pick.
Yeah, that was a little ambitious. Well, doesn't matter because the Steelers got the first down. Moving right along, let's see. You had the Colts beat the Texans. That was another pick. I actually got that one right. Deshaun Watson is a baller. That's just got to be said anytime he's brought up.
It's so true, but that defense just did their job.
Oh yeah, they got to him 5 times, picked him off once, and at the end of the game, with the chance to win, the Texans beat themselves. They fumbled the snap.
Yeah, can't be doing that, especially against, like, I would say Indy is probably the most elite defense we've seen this year. I don't know who else I'd put on that elite level, per se, because they're just playing so well, man.
They really are. I would put them right behind the Rams. I'd say right now the Rams are like number 1 defense you don't want to see. Although Washington and Pittsburgh seem to be playing each other pretty well defensively.
I agree.
Wow, speaking of fumbling snaps. don't want to spoil too much there. But moving on to the next game that I want to talk about, moving into the late games, is the Rams. As we were just saying, I love the Rams defense. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. 38-28, but it wasn't that close. The Rams fell behind 7-0. The Cardinals took an early lead on a 75-yard touchdown pass. Kyler Murray finished the game with 173 yards. After that one play, he had 98 yards. Kyler did not look good. D-Hop had 52 yards and a touchdown, which is very un-D-Hop-like. And I lied. It was a 59-yard touchdown pass, but still.
It's crazy how much, like, the Kyler for MVP situation, like, that conversation dropped. Like, it was so quick. I feel like 2 weeks ago, everyone was just like, you got to keep considering Kyler. Like, you really got to keep that in there. And then, no.
Crickets.
Nope.
Crickets.
Over. In 2 games, he's kind of ruined that. Like,
No, this is 3 in a row for the Cardinals. They've lost all of them. They lost that Thursday night game to the Seahawks. They lost to the Patriots. And this is 3 in a row. They do get to play the Rams again the last week of the season, but the Rams are 8-4, tied for the division lead, and the Cardinals are 6-6, looking on the outside of the playoffs, looking in.
yeah. And I honestly don't see them making it this year.
I don't see them making it because that last spot is currently held by the team that I think will make it, the Minnesota Vikings. They had an overtime win against the Jaguars. We skipped that game completely.
I was about to say, they almost just lost to the Jaguars. So, like, I was starting to feel them too. I thought, like, that Kirk Thielen connection and plus with Dalvin Cook in there, like, I was really starting to feel that momentum happening, but that scared me, my guy.
I'm also looking at
Jacksonville is the only team that's even more like dog shit than the Jets.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Vikings' upcoming schedule, and I don't know because they play the Bucks, they play the Bears, which they should win. Then they play in New Orleans, which they're not going to win, and then they play the Lions. So the Vikings might go 8-8. Kirk Cousins. I've told everybody to play him in fantasy. I played him in DraftKings. He had a very fine game. He threw a pick 6. He was throwing so many touchdowns. The other team got one.
Hey, man. Touchdowns can go around to everybody. They got the W, though, so that's all that really matters. But it does worry me that they allowed that team, especially when they chose to play Mike Glennon over a healthy Gardner Minshew.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that team's got some problems.
Is that a tanking decision?
I don't know. I don't know if coaches would be in on that unless it came from the top down. But I just think Minshew Mania is over. He didn't really, like, even last year, he played all right. He played good enough. Everyone just loved his stash.
Yeah, 6 stash. He also literally just, his offense was throw the ball downfield, let DJ Chark catch it somewhere. This year, not so much. Did you see the opening touchdown of that game, though? Mike Glennon threw a pass that was, like, off of 2 Minnesota Vikings and just landed in their rookie, I don't know how to pronounce his name, their rookie receiver's hands, and it was a wild touchdown.
Yeah. It was.
I don't know. Jury's still out for me on the Vikings. I can't figure them out.
Yeah, they're a hard team to get a read on, and I feel like that's how it's been for the last few years. Because I feel like it all kind of depends on how Kurt's doing that day, but I also think he's starting to figure it out a lot more than in the past.
He's definitely been playing better for the last couple weeks. He did throw the pick 6, but coming into the week, he had thrown 11 touchdowns to 1 interception. He still threw 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he did get picked off. I don't know. The way they came out and won in Green Bay, beat a good Packers team, makes you think they're good. But then, like we're saying right now, they almost lost at home to Jacksonville. Not that good.
Like I said, I think it's a little more based on how he plays, but I just think all in all this year he's played more consistent, which I like to see from him. But I still can't get over that game going into overtime. And I know I've just hammered that point home like 6 times, but it is what it is. But yeah, we can move on to that game from the almost stunner to the actual stunner.
This is next up.
How the fuck did Colt McCoy lead them to a victory over Seattle. I understand that defense is terrible, but that never should have happened.
That's for us. That's the other side succeeding. While the Jets blowing an epic meltdown, the Giants, the New York Football Giants, are 5-7. They won in Seattle, 17-12, which is not a football score. And I love that. At one point, it was 5-0, and the announcer on Red Zone, Scott Hansen, goes, It's not the Seattle Mariners beating the Yankees 5-0. It's the Seahawks beating the Giants." It's just such a weird score because of safety. Dude, the Giants' defense is really good.
Yeah, they're really starting to put it together. Like, they shut down DK.
80 yards. They kept him out of the end zone, but yeah.
I mean, but for DK, unless he's going against Jalen Ramsey.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, 263 yards for Russ is not a lot for Russell Wilson. Like, Bradbury's a top-tier cornerback. He put the clamps on DK. He's been putting it on every receiver. I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, and I want to apologize to Giants fans because I am all in. Sorry about that one. I am all in. The Giants, like, next week they're playing the Cardinals. We were just talking, Kyler Murray does not look like the MVP candidate from 3 weeks ago. Like, he's completely fallen off. The Washington team did not do. I don't want to spoil it because you're behind me, but not good.
All right, but yeah, Kyler just has not been looking good. Just that whole team, I feel like, has looked like they're struggling. And like last week we were talking about, I don't know where they're going to find many more wins. Like, they're coming against these bad teams. They just found one against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. I really don't see any reason if they play like that, why they wouldn't do it against Arizona.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you have Bradbury and Hopkins to, like, take away the one guy, or the Seahawks at least have Metcalf and Lockett, and neither of them did anything. And I think with Dexter Lawrence and the way that the Giants line, the pass rush, basically took Wilson out of the game, they could do that to Kyler.
They could do that to Kyler all day.
And I think as bad as the Seahawks defense has been against the pass, obviously you're not taking chances with Colt McCoy throwing the ball downfield. The Giants, I mean, Wayne Gallman had himself a day.
I was about to say, the running game was fucking incredible. Because Gallman didn't even have to do that much. I mean, not Gallman, Colt McCoy.
McCoy he threw the ball 22 times, 100 yards touchdown, but, like, Wayne Gallman just going on the 60-yard run, making it so that the Giants didn't need Colt McCoy to do anything.
That's what I'm saying.
And the Cardinals have a worse defense by far, so the Giants could beat the Cardinals. Then the Giants play the Browns. Browns are pretty good.
Yeah,
sorry, Giant fans.
They're surging right now. Like, that's going to be a tough game for them.
The Giants play the Ravens in Baltimore. I don't know.
With all their issues right now?
I don't know.
I think that's going to be a closer game than people would have thought at the beginning of the season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, looking right now, the Giants are one less win than the Ravens. They're 6-5 at the time of this recording. But Lamar's been having a regression in his season.
Coming off having COVID, like, you don't know exactly where he's going to be.
I don't know. I think that game will be a lot more competitive than, like you said, anybody would have thought before the season. And then the Giants end with the Cowboys, so that's an easy win. I mean, there's a chance the Giants finish 8-8, 7-9. That should win the division.
That has to win the division. The Washington football team needs this game and to win every other game because Giants also have the tiebreaker. So 7-9, I don't think Washington's going to get there.
I don't think so either. And Washington, they have the defense, as we see in this game, but as we also see in this game that's happening right now, their offense is just Terry McLaurin. Gibson just left the game for them with a toe injury, doubtful to return. That's a huge blow for them. So, hey, the New York Football Giants are going to win the division. Well, I shouldn't say that yet. We got a month to go, but
it's really, really looking like it.
The stars are aligning. And, hey, if you're a Giants fan, you got to be really happy to see that the Eagles also lost by the score of 30-16 to the Packers. Eagles got a special team touchdown and benched Carson Wentz. Is the Carson Wentz era over?
I don't know how it can be, honestly. I think it should be, but he still has, I think it's like $110 million guaranteed. If he doesn't play next year, if they cut him right now, they still owe him $56 million next year, and I think like $26 million the year after that.
Yeah, they're kind of really fucked by that contract.
They,
But I mean,
they don't have a choice. Like,
then why do they draft Hurts if they're just gonna keep Wentz?
I think they have to keep him for the next 2 years, and they're hoping Hurts develops in that time.
Hurts didn't look bad. I mean, he was 5 for 12, less than ideal, but he had 109 yards and like he scored a touchdown. He ran the ball well. He just looks more. Clearly, the problem with the Eagles is they have no line, right? Both quarterbacks combined to get sacked 7 times in that game. Every play there's pressure, but I think Wentz having his knee surgery, being a little bit more banged up just from years of experience, you bring in the young, fresh legs, faster player, Jalen Hurts, fits better for a team with no line. It doesn't help that the receivers are also dropping passes like crazy.
I can definitely see him, like Jalen Hurts finishing out the season, but I just don't think I literally don't think it's possible to move on from Carson Wentz for this team. I just don't.
Do you think another team like the Bears would trade for him in the offseason?
No. For that contract, are you kidding? And what you've been seeing from him? I don't see a way possible. Like, I don't see a way out of it for them. I think they're stuck with Carson Wentz whether they like it or not.
That's music to every Giants fan's ears. I mean, the whole NFC East got to be excited. They think that, there's just no answer for the quarterback situation in Philly. Do you think Doug Peterson survives? Do you think he'll be coaching next year?
I think it's how much blame you put on that offensive line, because that's more GM than coach, I'd say.
That's true.
I feel like he has no skill. Like, there's not a lot of skill on that line. It's not like they're underperforming. I just think
a fair
there's
amount
just
of
no one there.
injuries.
Yeah.
But that's fair. That's fair. I just keep having this recurring nightmare that I wake up and it's next September and Doug Peterson's the coach of the Jets.
Let's not do that. Let's just get Eric Bieniemy, and let's just fucking give him all the money. I don't even care. Like, we can't do worse. Fuck it.
Well, if we're gonna talk about coaches on the hot seat, our next game we have all-time greatest coach, a coach who probably should have been fired like 3 weeks ago. Belichick, 45. The San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers, 0. Belichick is like, he just bullies these young rookie quarterbacks.
No, that's like his job. You don't understand. His whole thing is just him beating up on rookie quarterbacks. No one does. I think Russell Wilson's was the last one to beat him.
It's just like an initiation. It's like a hazing. But I mean, it was the special team, the gunner, Olszewski. He had the punt return for touchdown. He had another one to set them up. 3 returns, averaging 48 yards a return.
I think the biggest thing with that is, and I think the reason why Bill's so good at, he's just so good at capitalizing off the little mistakes you make, that these little rookie mistakes, he's going to eat them up all day.
Exactly. Like Darnold was seeing ghosts. We saw Kyler, who obviously is not a rookie, but it's his second year. He struggled with them last week. Herbert, 2 interceptions, under 50%, 200 yards or 209 yards, the least of his starting career. I mean, Patriots are 6-6.
I know. I think it's a little too late now for them to really make a run. But hey, man, this AFC East has gotten a lot more competitive than it should be, I feel like.
Definitely.
I feel like the Bills should have ran away with this division this year, and that just is not what happened.
So the Patriots' next game, I'm looking at it, is Thursday night, which is beautiful because that means we have 2 games on Monday, a game on Tuesday, and a game on Thursday. I love it.
Best day ever.
The Patriots are
Mm.
playing against the Rams. If the Patriots can beat the Rams with the Rams playing as well as they are, then I'm going all in and the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl.
And to be
Bel-
fair,
It's going to be one
everyone's
of those Belichick just spins his magic and it just happens.
to be fair, everyone's talking also about how like not great Cam Newton is playing this year. He has the most multi-touchdown rushing games by a quarterback in a single season in NFL history. I think he's at 5 now.
By a runner, as a runner, he's having a hell of a year. But as a quarterback, I mean, he
But
played
again-
he played the entire game pretty much and had 69 passing yards for a touchdown, and then Stidham came in for the last drive and had 61 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's concerning. But also at the same time, again, why did Tom Brady leave the Patriots? They have no one.
That's true. So 45-0, unbelievable game. They had a punt block for a touchdown. They had a punt return for a touchdown. Just bullying. And I think Anthony Lynn, like we've said it before, I'm hearing a lot of it. He's got to be gone. There's just too
Yeah.
many talented players on that team to not.
I think this was the game that really put the nail in the coffin because at least in most of the other games they were playing competitively. Like Herbert was looking good, blah 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 blah. But this game was an embarrassment.
Well, they beat the Jaguars, and then they had that 1-point loss to the Broncos, and it's been downhill since there because they lost by 5, then they lost by 8, narrowly beat the Jets. Last week they lost by 10. This week they lost by 45. So it's slipping away from them. And if you look at that roster, I mean, Herbert's been playing great. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry. On the defense, you have Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. There's just too many talented players to be 3-9.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
We could finish out with the Sunday night game. Also, the AFC West, the Chargers and the Broncos, a lot closer than we thought. 22-16.
I also feel like Kansas City kind of pulled off the gas a little bit there. Like you can't go full steam all the time. And fucking Tariq Hill's catching passes that he didn't even know he fucking caught.
That was wild. And like Andy Reid, who's an all-time great coach. I mean, every team he's gone to has been great. How does he not have somebody in his ear like, wait, coach, throw the flag. Like, I don't get that.
That was crazy though. Like the guy who caught it didn't like Tariq Hill is too good. It's not fair. He's catching balls without trying. This is not okay.
I don't know. Did I catch it? I don't know. That was an insane play, but I gotta give props to the Broncos defense because there's at least 4 possessions where the Chiefs were in the red zone and had to kick a field goal. And if you can keep Patrick Mahomes out of the end zone for 3 quarters, like, I mean, no moral victories in the NFL, but that defense played a great game.
And again, I think that speaks highly for Taysom Hill. Because we were talking how that game was a gimme because they had no quarterback, blah, 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 blah. But Taysom Hill still had to score points against that defense. And they held Patrick Mahomes to 22.
Mahomes had 1 touchdown. And Tyreek Hill, I mean, after 200 yards in the first quarter against the Bucs, ended the game with 58. They really just, I mean, the Broncos put the clamps on him. They said, Kelsey, you can get your 138 yards. And the difference between the Chiefs, Super Bowl champions, and the Broncos 4-8 comes down to Patrick Mahomes versus Drew Lock. Drew Lock's just not very good. 2 interceptions again. Opened the game, opening drive, picked off by Tyrann Mathieu. End of the game, you needed anything just to move downfield because you're down by 6. Gets picked off again. So,
And I feel like Kansas City's defense just continuously gets better every year. Because if you remember in Mahomes' first year, they were just like, it was like, oh, the defense is so bad, but they score so many points that they don't need the defense. And then last year, you didn't hear about it as much. It was still kind of the same joke, but like not really. And then this year, they're playing well. And it's just going to be a problem because they just keep getting better and better and better.
they got a
And-
very underrated defense.
I agree. That's my main point. I'm not saying they're like the showstoppers of the league, but over the last 3 years, they're trending up. And Patrick Mahomes is trending up. They just signed a deal to keep Kelsey. Got Tyreek. Got Sammy Watkins.
God damn, the Chiefs are going to be so good for so long. Patrick Mahomes is just a different kind of player.
Actually, something funny. You see this picture here and this picture there? this this band has songs where Sammy Watkins is highly featured in both of them.
Interesting. I have a
So-
Sammy Watkins story too, but I'm not going to say it on the air. Anyways,
Just a funny little thing that I was thinking about the other day, listening to the albums on the drive home.
I'm looking at the Chiefs' schedule, and like obviously they end the year playing the Chargers. They play the Falcons, which should both be easy wins. Next week they play the They play the Dolphins. That could be fun.
Could be a fun game.
The Dolphins' defense could maybe do something. I don't know. They're still 7.5 point favorites. But then week 15 in the Dome, Saints Chiefs. That's going to be a good one.
Man, the Saints have had the worst luck the last 2 years. So I feel like they need that game. I feel like they really do.
I mean, you're never going to give Sean Payton Coach of the Year, but like he kind of always has to be in the conversation. This year without Drew Brees, Michael Thomas missed most of the year.
I mean,
10-2.
the last 2 years, I believe it was the last 2 years. The only reason they weren't in the Super Bowl was because of fucked up calls.
Well, one was the fucked up.
The one was
Rams,
the really fucked up one, and then
the Rams was the bad penalty, and then the Vikings was just a miracle play.
That was it.
Maybe we'll see if the Saints can get the first seed and find another weird way to lose in the playoffs after a very weird regular season.
I would feel so terrible if that happened.
I mean, just get ready because I think we all know it's going to. Sorry, Saints fans.
Don't disrespect the Houdat Nation like that, all right?
All right, should we talk about the game that's happening now, heading into the fourth quarter? Steelers 14, Washington football team 10. I predicted the Washington football team would win the game. I still feel confident on that.
Yeah, that pass defense is really having a good time controlling Ben.
Yeah. I mean, right now, Ben has 240 yards. He's fine. It's 23 rushing yards for the Steelers. 34.
I know, James Conner being out, but I'm saying controlling him and keeping him out of the end zone. I'm not saying he's having a terrible game, but if you keep him out of the end zone, that's all that really matters. They could have 500 yards.
Yeah, we'll see right now because the Steelers are at Washington 19. The Tuesday night football special extravaganza tomorrow night, Ravens are going to have Lamar, still not going to have Ingram, still not going to have Andrews, still not going to have Calais Campbell. I don't know. I still think without Dak Prescott, the Ravens are going to win that game by a lot.
I do too. And Zeke is even starting to worry me this season. He just hasn't been playing like himself.
He hasn't had the benefit of like the defense expecting a pass. If you know they're going to hand it to Elliott, you just pound on Elliott.
I mean, I agree, but again, it's Andy Dalton. It's not like he's probably the best quarterback in that division. Like, you still got CeeDee Lamb. You still got fucking Amari Cooper. Like, their
game has potential to be more entertaining than this game right now because the Ravens, as we know, they have Marquise Brown. They have speed, so they can get quick scores against a bad defense on the Cowboys. The Cowboys have speed. That could be a fun game.
I definitely think it could be a fun game, but I still think Baltimore takes it.
Absolutely agree.
All right.
And then we got Thursday night, the Patriots-Rams. We got to do it all over again.
Oh, yeah. That should be a fun one.
That'll be the fun Sean McVay Belichick rematch. I'm sure they'll. I wonder if they'll mention that maybe once or twice.
Fucking every time, ever.
Every play.
But to be fair, like, I understand why they do that one because, like, no one thought Sean McVay's system had any holes in it, could be stopped until Bill Belichick was just like, nah, in the Super Bowl.
No. Oh yeah, but that was like Goff's second year. Belichick does not like young quarterbacks.
No, he loves young quarterbacks.
He's that classic bully. Like, oh, there's Kyler Murray in his second year. Give me your lunch money. Like, Jared Goff threw you up against the locker. No Super Bowl. Like,
no Super Bowl rings for you.
Yeah, he's just. Oh my God! Everybody's dropping passes for Washington.
I know this is a very sloppy game,
This
but
is a
we're
sloppy
getting
game.
a little distracted with this, so we should probably just end it here.
All right, we're gonna wrap up. I had one thing about college basketball.
So throw it
Is
in.
that Gonzaga, number 1, was going to play Baylor. Number 2, it got canceled because of COVID. Fun fact, I don't know where either Gonzaga or Baylor are on a map. So if you know that, leave us a comment, because those are the top 2 teams in college basketball. And that's college basketball talk.
I really don't know how these people think these seasons are going to go through in college. It's young kids. It's their teams are so large compared to professional teams. Like, I don't know, man.
You got to think with the traveling. I don't see the point, because like we're seeing it with college football every week. I mean, Alabama finally kicked the shit out of LSU, but we don't know if they're going to be able to keep their season going on. Every conference is having issues. So that's our college sports talk of the week.
Yeah. All right, so we'll end it here, guys. I am Chris Gray. That is Eric Mincer, somewhere in this general vicinity. And we'll see you.
All right, guys, stay positive and test negative.
Welcome to the basement.